Good
Good
evening,
evening,
Beta.
sir.
Good evening, Beta. So, in the last class, I was discussing the phenomena of nuclear fission. I have explained you nuclear fission on the basis of this binding energy per nucleon versus A plot. So now today's second phenomena that can be explained on the basis of this plot is nuclear fusion. So we can also explain nuclear fusion with the help of this. Suppose we have two nuclei X plus Y. Suppose we have two nuclei X and Y. They are fused together and they are forming some nuclei Z. They are forming some nuclei Z. Suppose this X is somewhere here. So basically these X and Y, they lie in this range. Suppose one X is here, X nuclei is here. This is the X. This is the A number of X, and somewhere here, suppose this is the Y nuclei. This is the Y nuclei. So here at this point we will have A number for X.
Sir,
Here
board is not
this
clear.
will okay. This will be the A number corresponding to Y. So basically, what I am assuming, I am considering. So here I am considering two nuclei X and Y whose A number is less. Suppose for X A number is, suppose for X A number is 10. I am just assuming, and for Y suppose this is 15. I am just assuming. So for this Z, this will be, or you can say this is around 13 or 15 and 20 मान लो बेटा, ताकि calculation will be easy, and this will be roughly 35. This will be 30.
Again, it is
Sir, the
not
blur
board
दिख
is
रहा
not
है.
clear.
Okay, don't worry, it will be okay very soon. So here what I am assuming two nuclei X and Y whose A number is 15 and 20 respectively. When they are fused together, they are forming a Z nuclei. They are forming a Z nuclei whose A number is 35. Now, what will be the binding energy per nuclei for this X and Y? It will be somewhere here. Suppose this is 3 MeV per nucleon, and here suppose this is 6 MeV per nucleon. So what will be the binding energy of these nuclei? So binding energy of these two nuclei X and Y, this will be equal to X is 15, A number is 15 into 3, plus next will be 20, Y is 20 into 6. So this will be 45 plus 120. So this will be 165 MeV. This will be the total binding energy of X and Y. This will be the total binding energy of X and Y. Suppose now for this Z will be somewhere here. It will be somewhere here. So we are assuming that for this binding energy per nuclei is 8 MeV. So binding energy, this is the product for binding energy of product. Binding energy of deuter nuclei, it will be equal to 35 into 8 MeV. So this will be 280 MeV. So this is the binding energy of product. This is the binding energy of deuter nuclei. So here, how much energy will be released? Because in this nuclear reaction, binding energy is increasing. Initial binding energy is 165 MeV, and after the nuclear reaction, binding energy is 280 per MeV. 280 MeV per nucleon. This is the total binding energy. Sorry, this is the total binding energy. This is the initial binding energy of product, parent nuclei. So in this reaction, how much energy will be released? Whatever is the increase in binding energy, that energy will be released. So this will be 280 minus 165. So here this will be 5, here this will be 1 and 1. So 115 MeV of energy will be released if this type of nuclear fusion occurs. If this type of nuclear
Sir, the
fusion
board is not
occurs,
clear.
The board is not clear. Blur.
so if nuclear fusion occurs in this way, that X plus Y, they are fused together to form the nuclei Y. To form the nuclei Y, then this much amount of energy will be released. This much amount of energy will be released. So in this way, we can explain, we can give the basic explanation of
Sir,
such a large
excuse me,
amount of
sir.
energy. That, हाँ जी बेटा बताइए.
सर प्रोडक्ट है सॉरी पेरेंट न्यूक्लियाई उसमें उसकी एनर्जी 165 MeV है और डॉटर की 280 है. यस सर. तो सर हमें एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी चाहिए होगी ना, तो वो एब्जॉर्ब करेगा ना, रिलीज कैसे होगी?
नहीं नहीं, क्यों चाहिएगी हमें
सर? क्योंकि प्रोडक्ट के पास 165 है और जो हमारी डॉटर न्यूक्लियाई है वो 280 MeV की है, इसलिए सर. तो एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी
no, you are understanding in a different way. Basically, what is the meaning of binding energy? Try to understand the meaning of binding energy. When this X nuclei is formed, then 45 MeV energy was released. This is not the energy not energy that is with X. No, this is not. But this is the binding energy of X. And what is the meaning of binding energy of X? When this X nuclei is formed, this much amount of energy is released, 45 MeV energy is released. When Y nuclei is formed, then 120 MeV is released. So when X and Y both are formed, then this much amount of energy will be released. This is the meaning of binding. तो इन दोनों न्यूक्लियाई को फॉर्म करने के लिए, टू फॉर्म दीज टू न्यूक्लियाई, दिस मच अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी विल बी रिलीज. ऑन द राइट हैंड साइड वी हैव Z nuclei. If we want to form Z nuclei independently from its constituent particles, then 280 MeV energy will be released. X और Y को बनाने में कितना एनर्जी की रिलीज करने की जरूरत होती है? That will be 165 MeV. That is 165 MeV. और जो ड्यूटर न्यूक्लियाई है उसे बनाने में कितना एनर्जी रिलीज होगा? That is 280 MeV. So 165 on the left hand side, 165 MeV is already released. 165 MeV energy is already released on the left hand side. But for the right hand side, for the formation of Z, this much amount of energy is required to release. तो कितनी एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी रिलीज करनी पड़ेगी? कितना एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी रिलीज करना? 280 minus 165. So when this reaction will take place, then this much amount of energy will be released. So this actually here, binding energy is not possessed by the nuclei, but this is the energy that is released when that nuclei is formed. So concept is little bit different. So in this way, on the basis of this graph, we can easily explain nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. Later on, when we will discuss nuclear reactions, I will discuss nuclear fusion and fission in detail. We will discuss all of their aspects, all aspects of fusion and fission, but basic explanation can be obtained from this graph. Apart from these, there are few other properties. Apart from these, there were few other important properties which were observed regarding nuclei. Different nuclei. ठीक है? First property of the nuclei is that one of the most important factor in the stability of a nucleus. One of the most important factor in the stability of the nucleus is evenness or oddness of Z. Is the evenness or oddness of the Z. तो कोई भी न्यूक्लियाई कितना स्टेबल है, उसकी स्टेबिलिटी में one of the important factor is either N and Z number is even or odd. This also decides the stability of the nuclei. And for this, they have few facts. For its support, they have few facts like, suppose this is Z number, this is N number, number of neutrons, number of protons. Here this can be even, this can be even, this can be odd. Basically 4 possibilities are there. Even, and then this will be even. We can have even nuclei. We can have even odd nuclei. We can have odd even nuclei, or we can have odd nuclei. These 4 possibilities are there. I have already discussed these 4 possibilities. And when they find out the stable number of stable nuclei, number of stable nuclei, then they find out that even type are 166. 166 nuclei are, out of all the stable nuclei, 166 nuclei are even. This is 57. This is 53. This is 4. And these 4s are 1H2. This is 3Li6. Then 5B10. This is third nuclei, and Samin and 14. Samin and 14. So what I have shown here in this table, that this is the total number of, if you add these 4 numbers, this is the total number of stable nuclei which are observed. These are the total number of stable nuclei. And out of these stable nuclei, 166 nuclei which are stable, they are even. In those nuclei, number of proton and number of neutron both are even. Number of neutron as well as number of proton, both is even. So it means whichever nuclei, if the nuclei is even nuclei, then chances of its being stable is the most. Then probability of its being stable is the most. So most of you will find out that most of the even nuclei, they are stable. So this is one of the important factor in the stability of the nuclei. These are experimental facts. Odd nuclei, if you observe odd nuclei, then only 4 nuclei are there which are odd nuclei, and they are stable. So basically odd configuration, odd number of proton, odd number of neutron configuration, that is least stable. That is corresponding to least stability. ठीक है? और even odd even इनका stability इन दोनों के बीच में कहीं है. So their number is roughly 53 and 57 respectively. So most stable nuclei are even. Most unstable nuclei are odd nuclei. Most of the odd nuclei are unstable. So this is one of the fact that is observed. This is a very helpful fact. This is a very helpful fact which was later on used for developing the models, nuclear models. This is one of the facts. Another important fact which I am going to discuss with you. बेटा किसी का जो माइक है वो ऑन है, उसे ऑफ कर दो. माइक को ऑफ कर दो, काफी आवाज आ रही है. Next is ratio of neutron to proton. Next is ratio to neutron and proton in the nuclei. If you plot neutron versus proton for different nuclei, then you will find out. Okay, there is some problem.
Board not clear, sir.
Okay. So if you plot neutron versus proton, here on this axis we have neutron, and here we have protons. Here we have Z number. ठीक है? So first I am drawing a line. First, I am drawing a line. Suppose here Z number is increasing and I am assuming, suppose in the nuclei N is equal to Z. If N will be equal to Z, then we will have a line like this at 45-degree angle. So at this line represents that whatever nuclei is falling on this line, in that nuclei, number of protons will be equal to number of neutrons. So whichever nuclei will lie on this line, for that nuclei, number of protons will be equal to number of neutrons. Okay. Now, what they did start plotting. They start plotting the actual number of neutrons and protons for different nuclei, and they find out actual plot is like this. What they are doing, they are increasing the Z number and they are plotting each and every point. Then they find out this type of behavior. Which is deviating from this, or it is much more. This will be like this. They find out this type of nuclear line variation. They find this type. This is the experimental variation. Okay. This is the stability line. Whichever, this is known as stability line. And whichever nuclei fall on this, they are stable. Apart from these stable lines, we have many nuclei on this side of this stability line, and you find out many nuclei are on this side. And it is observed that whichever nuclei is on this side, they are unstable. These dotted lines, these dotted points, they are representing the nuclei which are unstable, and they are not lying on this stability line. So basically, when they are unstable, they will undergo beta minus emission. Because whichever nuclei is on the left hand side of this, in those nuclei, number of neutrons are higher. So they will undergo beta minus emission and they will reach to this stability line. While those nuclei which are on the right hand side of this line, in these nuclei, number of protons are higher. As a result, they will undergo beta plus emission. Why they are going beta plus and beta minus emission? What is the meaning of beta plus emission? In beta plus emission, what happens? A neutron, when beta plus is occurring, then a neutron will convert into proton, plus this will emit a beta minus particle, plus this will be anti-neutron. While for beta plus, proton will convert into neutron, plus beta plus neutron. So these two equations for beta plus and beta minus, they play a role. So all the nuclei which are on this side, on the left hand side, on this side, they have excess number of neutron. Due to this reason, they are unstable. Now they want to approach to this line, which is stability line. So what they do, they convert these excess number of neutron into number of protons. They convert these neutrons, excess neutron into proton, but in this process, this beta minus emission will take place. So they will undergo beta minus. On the right hand side of this line, these nuclei on the right hand side, they have excess number of protons. So they want to reduce number of protons so that they can reach to this line. So for this, they will convert their proton into neutron by beta plus emission. So in this way, on the left hand side nuclei of this stability line, they will undergo beta minus emission, and right hand side nuclei of this stability line, they will undergo beta plus emission. And from this graph you can observe one thing. Here, consider this stability line, observe this stability line. You will find out as the Z number is increasing, in the stable nuclei, number of neutrons are greater than number of protons. In the stable nuclei, in general, number of neutrons are greater than number of protons. This is another fact that is observed by the people. This is the second fact. This is the other property which is observed by the people. Apart from this, they have observed one more thing. They have observed, their third observation was that for nuclei which are Z greater than 83, but A number less than 209, all those nuclei for which Z number is greater than 83, for all those nuclei for which Z number is greater than 83 but A number is less than 209, ठीक है, they emit alpha particles to convert themselves into more stable nuclei. To achieve more stable nuclei configuration, they emit alpha particles, spontaneous, emit alpha particles. And all those nuclei A greater than 209, all those nuclei for which A is greater than 209, and if they are unstable and they want to convert into they want to achieve some stable configuration, nuclear configuration, then what they did? They will undergo spontaneous fission. Spontaneous fission. So this property is also observed experimentally. So all those nuclei for which Z is greater than 83, A number is less than 209, they emit alpha particle to achieve the stable nuclei configuration. While for the nuclei for which A is greater than 209 and they are unstable, they will undergo spontaneous fission. So that they can achieve some stable configuration. Okay? These are all the properties which are experimentally observed from different nuclei. So this chapter is completed here.
Sir,
Batao.
what is mean by spontaneous fission?
Spontaneous fission means if a nuclei is having some excess energy, okay? And if it want to remove this excess energy, it want to release this excess energy, then how will it release? Okay. It can release that energy through various forms. Either it will emit particles like alpha particle, beta particle, or gamma particle. This is one way. And in this way, it will reduce its proton and neutron number and it will achieve some stable type of nuclear configuration. This is one way. Another way is, if energy is large, energy is in excess from the stable configuration, then it will undergo some type of oscillations or vibrations. Initially it will be spherical, and due to this excess energy, it will become ellipsoidal. And if energy is still higher, then it will break. This ellipsoidal type of nuclei, it will break into two parts, and that is known as nuclear fission. In nuclear fission, whatever product is obtained, they are more stable as compared to the parent nuclei. So with the help of spontaneous fission means apne aap. They have some excess energy, and due to that excess energy, they themselves undergo fission. This is one type of fission. Another type of fission can be, suppose we have a nuclei like 92 uranium-235. We want to induce fission. Now we want to induce fission. So we will launch a neutron, and that neutron will be absorbed by this uranium nuclei. Now you will have a compound nuclei. and energy of this compound nuclei will be very high. It will be in the excited state. Now it will break into two nuclei. This is induced fission. So earlier one was the spontaneous fission. This second one is the induced fission. So these are all the properties related to nuclei I have discussed with you people. This is the first chapter. Okay, this is important. You will find many questions you can find out from this chapter. But this,
what about
this
the
chapter,
problems, sir?
what about?
Problems of the sir?
Don't worry, I will give you two assignments. You have to solve both these assignments. Now we will have, today we will have, tomorrow we will have a class. On Friday, most probably on Saturday, I will give you two assignments. Okay? I will give you two assignments. First, you have to solve those assignments. I will give you 1 week. Go through this chapter, whatever I have discussed with you. Go through that, solve those assignments, and then we will discuss both the assignment. Whatever problem will be there, I will solve all your problems. All your confusions, I will try to make them clear.
Okay, sir.
Now, basically,
Sir,
this is the way. हाँ जी बताओ बेटा.
we won't solve numericals in class.
We will solve. We will solve numericals in the class, but first you will solve. I will solve. I think in first assignment there are 15 to 16 numericals. In second assignment again 16 numericals are there. So there will be roughly 30-40 numericals. I will discuss with you. I will have a class in which I will discuss only assignments. So don't worry. I will discuss many numerical problems with you. There will be no problem related to
Hello, sir.
numericals. हाँ जी.
सर एक क्वेश्चन है सर.
One by one बेटा.
Sir,
एक के बाद एक.
सर एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था सर. जैसे हम ये स्टेबल न्यूक्लियाई के जो हमने आज रीजन्स डिस्कस किए हैं, ये जो पॉइंट्स डिसाइड डिस्कस किए हैं, तो सर जैसे अगर कोई भी दो न्यूक्लियाई के बीच में कौन सा स्टेबल होगा या ग्रुप ऑफ न्यूक्लियाइज में से, तो सर कौन से पॉइंट को हम ज्यादा प्रेफरेंस देंगे?
वो हम बताएंगे आपको. देयर इज ए फॉर्मूला. जब आप लिक्विड ड्रॉप मॉडल पढ़ते हो ना, then there will be a formula which we can calculate. That formula is Z equal to A upon, शायद पढ़ा भी होगा आपने, Z equal to A upon 1 plus 0.015 A to the power 2 by 3. ठीक है. From that formula we can find out that out of a set of a nuclei this will be more stable. हाँ जी बताओ.
तो सर जैसे हमने ये जो E1 N और E1 Z के लिए स्टेबल न्यूक्लियाई, तो सर ये चीज नहीं देखेंगे हम उसमें कौन से न्यूक्लियाई का E1 N E1?
हाँ बेटा, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. वो अपने आप उसमें इंक्लूड हो जाएगा. जब वो फॉर्मूला ड्राइव करते हो, then you uses these properties. When you are driving that formula, automatically these properties are already included. Actually जब बाइंडिंग एनर्जी कैलकुलेट करोगे ना बेटा, that formula is obtained from बाइंडिंग एनर्जी. और बाइंडिंग
सर मैजिक नंबर से भी शो कर सकते हैं.
बेटा रुक जाओ, थोड़ा सा पेशेंस रखो. सब न्यूक्लियर मॉडल्स के अंदर जो क्वेश्चन आप पूछ रहे हो, दे आर ऑल इन न्यूक्लियर मॉडल्स. So today I am going to start liquid drop model. Magic numbers comes into the cell model. Magic number comes into the cell model. But directly आप नहीं बता सकते ना कि okay this nuclei is more stable. You need some mathematical expression. तभी तो आप कर पाओगे कि exactly बता पाओगे this is more stable, this is less stable. हाँ, अगर आपको कोई एक न्यूक्लियाई दे दे, वो E1 है, दूसरी E1 ओड है, then you can say that E1 will be more stable. लेकिन अगर दो E1 न्यूक्लियाई दे दें, then how will you tell which one is more stable?
Sir, please take some numericals in a class because it's really difficult to understand the theory without numericals.
I am not going to do theory without numericals, so don't worry. I will give you two assignments.
No, sir. In class, if you can take some small examples like that to understand.
Okay, I will. ठीक है. I will take.
Yes, sir. Yes.
ठीक है.
हेलो सर. सर हमने जो पढ़े हैं E1 और E1 ओड. सर उसमें हमारी बुक में सर हमारी बुक में देखें 165 हुई और यहाँ देखें 55 यहाँ 50 यहाँ 5.
चलो 165 मान लो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है उससे. वो आपसे एग्जाम में पूछेगा ही नहीं कि कितने सारे होंगे, 165 होंगे या 166 होंगे. Basically objective is to prove that the even nuclei, there is a large number for even nuclei which are stable. So objective is different. They want to show you that even nuclei are more stable. They are in between stable and these are least stable. So these numbers are reflecting, their exact number is not of so importance. So next is liquid
okay,
drop
sir.
model. ठीक है बेटा. So next is liquid drop model. Next is liquid drop model. Actually बेटा मैं assignment तो आपको आज भी दे सकता हूँ और फिर कल डिस्कस भी कर सकता था, लेकिन उसे डिस्कस करने से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. जब तक आप एक बार अपने आप सॉल्व नहीं करोगे ना, तब तक असाइनमेंट का बहुत एडवांटेज नहीं होता. मैंने अभी जो क्लास लिया था, इससे पहले जो बैच पर मैं डिस्कस किया था, मैंने उनके साथ ऐसे ही किया. क्लास के बाद डिस्कस किया तो मैंने few students are solving numerical, but few other students, they are coming blank. They are not solving any. So this is not a good practice. If you are preparing for the competition, then one thing is you have to work very hard. For this, whatever numerical problems I am giving in the form of assignment, you have to solve those numericals. Apart from this, you have to solve the numericals which are given in the booklet. ठीक है, आपके पास एक बुकलेट मिल जाए, या तो मिल गई होगी, नहीं मिल जाएगी, उस बुकलेट में न्यूमेरिकल्स दिए हुए हैं. यू हैव टू सॉल्व दोज न्यूमेरिकल्स. इसके अलावा जो ओल्ड क्वेश्चंस हैं, ओल्ड पेपर्स जो हैं, उनमें जो क्वेश्चंस आए हैं, यू हैव टू सॉल्व दोज क्वेश्चंस. सो यू हैव टू सॉल्व मेनी न्यूमेरिकल्स, ओनली देन यू विल बी कॉन्फिडेंट. बट फर्स्ट आई हैव डिस्कस्ड ऑल द थ्योरी रिलेटेड टू द जर्नल properties of the nuclei. Now most probably tomorrow I will give you 2 assignments. Solve and solution में मिलेंगे. शायद स्टार्टिंग में शायद मैं सॉल्यूशन ना दूं, पहले अपने आप सॉल्व करो. उनके आंसर लिखे हुए हैं, उनमें फाइनल आंसर क्या है. ठीक है, ट्राई टू सॉल्व दोज असाइनमेंट एंड देन आई विल डिस्कस. इफ यू विल से आई विल डिस्कस इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास ओनली.
Sir, are you providing us notes?
Surely I will provide whatever I am speaking. Whatever I am speaking, exactly same notes I will provide you. Next is liquid drop model. Basically, for the nuclei, there is no model that is complete. There is no model which is complete, which is able to explain all the properties of the nuclei. There is no model. But there are few models. If we will combine all these models, we consider all these models together, then few of the properties are explained by the liquid drop model. Few other properties are explained by single particle cell model, and then later on few other properties, they are explained by the collective model. So one by one I am going to discuss all these models with you. So first question arises, what is the basis? ठीक है, on the basis of liquid drop model, what can we explain? What can we explain on the basis of liquid drop model? So first question is, on the basis of liquid drop model, what can I explain? So this is liquid drop model. On the basis of this model, we can explain many properties of the nuclei. Number one, we can prove that there is a constant density throughout the nuclei except near the surface. ठीक है, we can explain nearly constant density. Nearly constant density. Nearly constant density in the nuclei except surface, except near to surface. We can prove this. Second, we can find out the most stable nuclei. Most stable nuclei in a isobaric family. Isobaric family. Third, we can calculate or we can find out this type of plot. We can calculate binding energy per nuclei variation exactly. We can find out binding energy per nuclei variation. With the help of this, we can explain beta plus and beta minus emission. Can be explained. Means we can explain you which nuclei will emit beta plus particle and which nuclei will emit beta minus particle. We can explain this. Few nuclei will emit beta plus, another will nuclei beta minus. So which nuclei is emitting beta plus, which is emitting beta minus, and why they are emitting? We can explain this answer of this question. As well as we can find out the expression of Q values for beta plus and beta minus particle. We can also explain beta plus and beta minus particle. Apart from this, we can explain nuclear fission. We can explain nuclear fission with the help of liquid drop mode. With the help of liquid drop mode. So we can find out so many things. We can explain so many properties with the help of liquid drop mode. So this is the importance. This is the importance of liquid drop model. On the basis of liquid drop model, we can explain these things. Okay? When liquid drop model, another thing is when liquid drop model was developed, they have made few assumptions. When liquid drop model was developed to explain binding energy and everything, or to find out the binding energy of the nuclei, basically they have made few assumptions. So this nuclear model, this liquid drop model is based on these assumptions. On the basis of these assumptions, this model is developed. So it is important to know those assumptions. So it is important to know those assumptions. So next is assumptions which are made during the development of liquid drop model. Next is assumptions. What assumptions are made? Liquid drop model is based on the assumption that there are many similarities between the nucleus and liquid drop. So they were mapping the properties of a nuclei. They were mapping the properties of a nuclei with liquid drop. That's why this model is also known as liquid drop model. So they have made all these assumptions so that they can explain the properties of the nuclei on the basis of the behavior that is exhibited by the liquid drop. On the basis of the behavior that is exhibited by the liquid drop. So what type of mapping they have done? Number one, very similar, they have assumed that very similar to liquid drop, very similar to the liquid drop, there is a constant density inside the nuclei. So their first assumption was that inside the nuclei, they have, throughout the nuclei, they have constant density. Constant density. Whatever is the size of the nuclei, whatever is the size of the nuclei, nuclear density doesn't change. Nuclear density is independent of A, independent of the size of the nuclei. Size of the nuclei is given by R is equal to R naught A to the power 1 by 3. So whatever is the value of A, nuclear density remains constant. This is similar to the liquid drop. Liquid drop can be small, it can be large, but density inside a liquid drop is always constant. This is a property of the liquid drop. This was the first property that was mapped with liquid drop. Second, in a liquid drop, latent heat of vaporization is constant throughout. Inside, for a liquid drop, latent heat of vaporization is constant. चाहे वो छोटे साइज का न्यूक्लियाई हो चाहे बड़े साइज का न्यूक्लियाई हो, latent heat of vaporization is constant. Very similar to latent heat of the liquid drop, they are saying that binding energy per nucleon is constant. So this is mapping as latent heat of vaporization, as latent heat of vaporization. Vaporization is constant in a liquid drop, is constant in a liquid drop. In a similar fashion, binding energy per nuclei inside the nuclei for any nuclei, for any value of A type of, any value of A, this binding energy per nucleon is constant. आप छोटा nuclei लो, बड़ा nuclei लो, whatever you are choosing A number, but this will remain constant. This is the second property. Next property of the liquid drop that is mapped here, that is evaporization of liquid drop. Another property of the liquid drop is evaporization. Evaporization of liquid drop. They were saying as in a liquid drop, evaporization is taking place. Due to evaporization, many molecules from the liquid drop, they moves out. Due to evaporization, many molecules which are present on the surface or nearly surface in the liquid drop, they can move out due to the thermal energy available. In a similar fashion, due to excess energy, radioactive decay occurs in nuclei. Means here molecules from the liquid drop, they can move out due to the available thermal energy. That is evaporization. Here, if excess energy is there inside the nuclei, then alpha particle, beta particle, gamma photons, they can move out to reduce this energy. So these two processes, they are compared, they are mapped with each other for this liquid drop model. Okay. Next property, number 4. In liquid drops, condensation takes place. Condensation takes place. If we have a liquid drop, what is the meaning of condensation? If we have a liquid drop and here we have a small drop, they can merge together and they will form a little bit, and they will form a little bit larger nuclei. So this is the condensation process for liquid drop. In a similar fashion, formation of the compound nucleus, formation of compound nucleus takes place, like 92 uranium 235 plus 0N1. They will combine together and they will form 92 uranium 236. So in a similar fashion, as condensation is taking place here, this compound nucleus will be formed. In this way, this compound nucleus is formed in the similar fashion. This is the fourth property. which is exhibited by both liquid drop as well as nuclei. And the last but the most important property, inside the nuclei, in between molecules, inside the nuclei, in between molecules, cohesive force is present. Inside the nuclei, in between molecules, cohesive force is present. In a similar fashion, inside the nuclei, in a similar fashion, inside the nuclei, in between nucleons, attractive type of nuclear forces are present. Attractive type of nuclear forces are present. So there is a one-to-one mapping between the properties of a nuclei and the properties of the liquid drop. So these were the assumptions. These were the assumptions which were made. These were the assumptions. ठीक है? और assumptions क्या है? Basically these were similarities. They were assuming that nuclei was behaving as a liquid drop, but why they were assuming this type of thinking? They were assuming that nuclei is behaving like a liquid drop, but why they are assuming? These were the causes. These properties were the causes for their considering nuclei as a liquid drop. Nuclei as a liquid drop. Now for further developing the mathematical model. Now for further developing the mathematical model of this liquid drop model, they made few more assumptions. So these were mappings with nuclei and liquid drop model. Due to these properties, basically they were convinced that nuclei will behave as a liquid drop. Now to develop the mathematical model, हाँ जी बेटा बताओ.
सर सेकंड पॉइंट समझ में नहीं आया. बाइंडिंग एनर्जी पर न्यूक्लियन आपने कांस्टेंट कैसे बोला? ये तो वेरी कर रहा है ना?
बेटा वेरी कर रहा है, बिल्कुल सही वेरी कर रहा है, लेकिन there were large number of nuclei. What they find out in the sample that for a large number of nuclei, binding energy per nucleon was constant. So they were saying that in this is a large range. This was a large range. In this large range, they observed that for nuclei, binding energy per nucleon was more or less constant. However, there was deviation on this side and on this side. But initially, they assumed in this way. Later on, when they find out on the basis of this, when they developed model, they find out that their reasoning is not providing this curve. So they made few modifications. Initially, they developed on the basis of this assumption, जो आप बता रहे हो, binding energy per nuclei is constant. On the basis of this assumption, they developed first term of binding energy. They developed the first term of the binding energy, that is known as volume energy. When they plotted this volume energy as a function of A, they didn't find out this plot. Then they start modifying their ideas. They included new things into their model. They included various new observations in their model, and slowly they developed their complete model. This model was not developed at one time. It was steps in which this model was developed. Due to this reason, this is known as semi-empirical model. There is no single mathematical theory on the basis of which we can develop this model. But first they develop first term, they find out some problem, they search for a cause, उन्होंने वो cause पता किया, then they included that cause in their model, they improved. Now they have improved version, but still they were not finding the exact variation. Again, they modified their model on the basis of some other experimental facts. In this way, by including many terms, they were able, in last they were having 5 different terms in their binding energy expression. but these terms were added one by one by one. But initially when they start developing this model, they were considering that for a large number of nuclei, binding energy per nucleon is nearly constant. They were assuming this, but later on, they included all those facts which were more practical or more close to the experimental facts. So now, basically, Bohr was the person who who started making assumption for developing mathematical model. So his first assumption was simple, which we have already discussed, that nuclei was equivalent to incompressible spherical drop. So nuclei was comparable to incompressible liquid drop. Why they are saying incompressible? Because density of the nuclei was very high. This is 10 to the power 17 kilogram per meter cube. This was the rough estimation at that time. So this was, they have considered that this is incompressible liquid drop, spherical drop. Incompressible spherical liquid drop, they were saying. This spherical word is also spherical liquid drop. Okay. Which has high and uniform density. This was first assumption. Second is nuclear forces between the nucleons. Nuclear forces between the nucleons are independent of spin and charge. Nuclear forces between nucleons is independent of spin and charge. This is the initial assumption. This was okay, but later on they will include the effect of spin even in this model. But these were the assumption on the basis they have started. Later on, they have included the effect of spin in the fifth term, pairing energy term, last term, pairing energy. So this was the second assumption. Third assumption is that nuclear forces between nucleons are short range. Nuclear forces between nucleons are short range and attractive in nature. So these are all the assumptions which were made by Bohr. And on the basis of these assumptions, there was a scientist, Weizsäcker. He was a German scientist, Weizsäcker. He developed semi-empirical mass formula. He has developed this semi-empirical mass formula. So in tomorrow's class, I will discuss the semi-empirical mass formula and its consequences. ठीक है बेटा, आज यहीं तक डिस्कस करते हैं, कल फिर स्टार्ट करेंगे आगे.
Sir, this liquid drop, sir.
हाँ जी बताओ.
This liquid drop model didn't explain the nuclear fusion.
Nuclear fusion, basically A little bit explanation can be made on the basis of this, but exact explanation was not given for nuclear fusion. Nuclear fission के लिए दिया था, nuclear fusion के लिए भी few properties can be explained, but not all the properties were explained on the basis of this. ठीक है?
हेलो सर।
हाँ जी।
सर आपने लिखवाया न्यूक्लियर फोर्स बिटवीन न्यूक्लियॉन्स इज इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ स्पिन एंड चार्ज।
हाँ जी।
लेकिन सर
ये मैं लिखवा नहीं रहा हूँ बेटा।
जी जी।
These are the, ये मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि this is the, जब न्यूक्लियर फोर्सेस डिस्कस करूंगा तब बताऊंगा वो स्पिन और चार्ज पे डिपेंड करता है या नहीं। These are the assumptions which were made by Bohr.
ओके सर।
मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि ये सही है, जो लिखा है वो सही है। These are the assumptions which were made by Bohr.
ओके।
ठीक है, मुझे भी पता है स्पिन पे डिपेंड करता है।
ठीक है।
ठीक है।
ओके।
ठीक है बेटा, चलिए कल मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में। थैंक यू बेटा।
थैंक यू सर।
और न्यूमेरिकल की चिंता मत करो, मैं आपको सफिशिएंट नंबर ऑफ न्यूमेरिकल कराऊंगा।
ओके सर।
Earlier those were the similarities, no?
हाँ, earlier were similarities between the liquid drop and the nuclei.
And these three are the assumptions.
These are assumptions.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Most welcome.
Sure.